Hello guys. Today we are going to see about how government can intrude in our privacy. How smile and pay facial recognition app can be used against us by the private agencies. We allow someone to install CCTV in our living room, in our rooms where we are in hotel or in school. Someone come and say to you that you are no longer belonging to this country, you are stateless now, what will you do? And people are there living their whole life without any statelessness as a refugee and asylum seeker, and all they get is cross border restrictions from all around the world. Now we need to empathize with the people who are refugees because they are losing their ties with their culture, their identity, the people they known from their childhood. What if someone come and tell to you that you are no longer belonging to this country and all your ties are cut? Will we be able to move away from the own home that we lived for over 20 years? Will we be move away from our city that we lived for more than 20-30 years? It is a bond that we have with that city and have with that house. But people around the world are not getting that empathy and that state where they can't even get their cultural identity anymore. Presumption of innocence and international crimes. Presumption of innocence. You are innocent until you are proven guilty in the public trial. The trial should happen in the public place to make it fair, and the one who is assumed guilty should be given the opportunity to defend oneself. Also states that when a person committed a crime and there is no law particularly drafted for that crime, it is not considered as a crime. And if the law stated as only minimal amount of punishment should be given to that person at that time, and that time the person committed that crime, it is only applicable as 7 years as a minimum imprisonment if it is stated as such. And if it is now drafted as 10 years, only 7 years is applicable now. And international crimes, it states that no one is above the law, so that even if you are the king of some kingdom or you are the president or prime minister of a country, you are not above the law if you have committed a war crime. As this law states that the abuser should be made responsible for the crime that he or she committed. The perfect example is Bosnian Serb Republic, BSR, at the time of 1919 during the Bosnian War, the then president at that time, committed a serious, heinous crime against the Serbian people. He massacred 8,000 Serbian people, and he was committed guilty for making genocide at that time. Another example is the genocide and massacre committed by the Rwandanian Prime Minister in the time period of 1994, where he massacred Jean Kambanda, where he massacred 8 lakh people in Rwanda, where in that people 2 lakh to 5 lakh women and girls were raped, and many such cases remain unreported, which is not in the statistics. And these two people are belonging to a powerful position, and they abused their position and power, which made this particular article to be stated as abusers should be held responsible irresponsible of their position and power, and they were punished for committing crime against humanity and in violation of war. Article 12. This article states that how important your privacy is. You, as an individual, can protect your privacy at any cost. You can protect your border and limitation without any intrusion from others, even not government. That is very important. You have the power to protect your honor and reputation at any cost. And if someone is intruding into your privacy and questioning your reputation, you have the right to protect it at any cost. Article 12, right to privacy. First, will you accept someone puts CCTV camera in your living area? If you are living in hostel or if you are a student in school or college, Will you allow CCTV camera to be placed in your room? Or else, will you allow someone to overhear your conversation between you and your family member or any person? Will you allow someone to use your mobile data using the free Wi-Fi so that you will get that Wi-Fi again? All these things are privacy, which one completely needs as a human being. Best two examples of breaching of privacy. One is Facebook, which the case happened in 2018, where 87 million Facebook users browsing history, private history, purchase history, and their political opinions, network of friends, all those personal details were sold to the private detective agencies for profit and commodity. And second one is other. It is executed as other in India. It is executed as a regulatory one by the private agencies. So if there is any violation, there is no provision for prosecution against such private agency. As we are in the digital era, at any time our digital information can be intruded not only by the private detective agencies but also by the government. And governments across the world are using the smart city surveillances, where the UN High Commissioner stated that I imagined us creating smart city of privacy as opposed to smart city of surveillance. And as government says that all those non-digital way are converted into digital form, where the government in some places across the world are using this digital technology to their own advantage to serve to make the surveillance of the people who are involved in human activistic movements and human rights movements, where people who voice opinions against LGBT community, people who opinion their voice against the war crimes that is happening currently in Israel, or all those things. So people who raise their opinion or intruded with the government as against the right of privacy, as they state that it is against their national's law. But it should be practiced that one individual should be respected at any cost. His or her right should be protected, because privacy is our freedom, and the government should understand that. Another example is Smile and Pay, one of the facial recognition digital smart activity which is used as a surveillance by some banks across the world. And another example is insurance company asking you to wear that smart wrist brand watch so that they can sense what activities you are doing at every time you are under their surveillance, so that if you are denying to wear that smart wrist watch, they will cancel your insurance at any time. Article 13, freedom of movement. You can travel in and out of your country. You can have the residence in another country. You can stay there for some time and you can return back to your own country and lead your normal life back. Such best example where freedom of movement this article stated is not followed is in the Rohingya Muslims case, where the Rohingya Muslims in the Rakhine state, where 7,30,000 of the Muslims fled from Myanmar and entered into the flood prone Bangladesh, and remaining 6 lakh peoples remained in that oppressive Myanmar state, where the government completely restricted their freedom of movement from Myanmar to any other country, and they are cut off from their basic rights like food, healthcare, education, freedom, liberty. All such things are lost because of this Myanmar government. And even they faced apartheid, the racism, and they faced persecutions, faulty accusations, and also they faced deprivation of liberty. No, many such countries are even making walls against these Rohingya Muslims not to enter into their country because of this oppressive Myanmar government. But this article, freedom of movement, is completely abolished. In Bangladesh, over 1 million of these Rohingya Muslims lived in the overcrowded Cox's Bazar, and for complete 5 years Bangladesh respected this international law, where Myanmar completely gone against it. Bangladesh respected this law and gave them non-refoulement. Non-refoulement is nothing but giving the residence to the non-residents so that they can live peacefully in that country, because they home country, there is a threat for their life, there is a threat of persecution of false accusation for their life. So Bangladesh completely respected them for this particular 5 years. But recently, Bangladesh completely restricted that free movement of the refugees in their country, destroying their local community created by the Rohingya Muslims. Community-led schools are completely destroyed and closed. The same case happened in India, Thailand, Malaysia. All are restricting the Rohingya Muslims to enter into their country as a refugee, which is against this law anyways. But what can be done here is that all the international laws and international countries should make the cohesive law to make the strict and supportive government in the home country of Myanmar itself, so that there is no need for Rohingya Muslims to get away from the Rakhine state but to live in their own land peacefully. This is what this law can state and help. Article 14, right to asylum. This law states that everyone has a right to seek and enjoy asylum in any country they want, in and against the persecution if it happens in their homeland, which means that you have every right as an individual to live a peaceful life. But the cross world displacement that is happening around the world, where refugees and asylum seekers are almost unwelcome, is a worrisome trend that is happening in the current world, where this law is only applicable to the people who are facing consequences on basis of the political ideologies that happened in that government, where the persecution might happen in the political way. The example where this law is applicable is Fortress Europe, where 7 lakh people crosses the Mediterranean Sea to reach the European border. And Europe is facing one of the worst migration crises. About 3,000 people have died while crossing the sea during the most problematic sea and land travel. It is almost one of the worst case scenario that is happening now, where the asylum seekers are not allowed in any of the borders of the country, and all the cross borders are closed for them, and whoever survived and who traveled via the land also died without getting noticed. And even if some people save their life and reach the other country border, they are in vulnerable position of authorities and smugglers who might misuse them to any extent. Whereas many need protection in this kind of situation, because there is no such clear definition of refugee for every country. Every country has their own definition, because in their sense they are clearly not allowing the refugees anymore. But you need to understand one thing: people are not leaving their home country without any reason. Beyond their control, situation has gone completely wrong. That is why they are there to safeguard their life and their family's life. They are traveling from their home country to the other country for the asylum. And what minimum can one another country do here? Give the asylum to the people who are morally good. And another such example is climate refugee, where people might turn into a refugee by their land turning into desert, famine, the groundwater becoming salty, and the rising sea levels. Because of this, in 2016, 21.7 million refugees appeared across the world. This is one of the growing threat, and the cross-border countries should consider genuine people should be allowed into the country. Article 15, right to nationality. You have every right to belong to a specific country. You have every right to get that citizenship in the country you belong to without any problem. And according to this law, where United Nations stated that there are almost 3.9 million people in this world who are not having any national identity. Why this happens? Because their parents are belonging to different nation, or because the state laws are clashing between them and the empire got completely divided. If 3 to 4 million people are living like this without any national identity, what will happen? They live and die without any identity and trace. They are just a ghost to this law. One such best example is Ho Chi Minh, an elderly man from Vietnam City who lived there for almost 35 years. In his feeble voice, he stated that at least when I die, I could get my death certificate, which proves that I existed here for 35 years. Because of his nationless identity, he couldn't buy any property, he couldn't buy at least a motorbike, couldn't send his children to the schools. These are all the basic things that we need that he completely lost in his lifetime. Another such example is UN Special Rapporteur for Myanmar stated that the emergency of statelessness in the country of Myanmar, where since 1994 birth certificate is not issued to these Rohingya Muslims. Many are losing their lives, not able to get the health care, not able to get the education, food, basic amenities. They are restricted to move away from their camps. All this because of the ethnic and political persecutions that is happening in Myanmar country, where one such girl stated that for the last 10 years she couldn't have any license, couldn't drive, couldn't go to school, and also cannot have a good school education, where I can't be with my husband, and I lost almost 10 years of my life, and after all these stateless life that I lived for, is it too much to ask for the national identity at least now? She's a 24-year-old girl. She was detained in the Myanmar as her parents, you know, no, illegally tried to cross the borders, and against the immigration rule she was detained at that time. Still now she is a stateless human in Myanmar. Also, 27-year-old Ray stated that we are moving away from the people that we have close identity and culture with. Such a move is a threat to our individual as a soul crushing moment for us. And all those people should be safeguarded from crime committing from the Myanmar government only by these articles, where the nationality should be provided to all these refugees by the international prospects as soon as possible, so that we all can live a good peaceful life.